family moves into a 200-year-old Virginia farmhouse.
It was your typical postcard, antebellum, Southern plantation house. We wanted to be there forever.
And soon discovers they are not alone.
Is somebody there?
It spooked me. It spooked me to my core.
Not one entity, but two.
There was this really foul smell. It was like a smell of death.
One tormented soul.
This is my house. My house.
And another hell-bent on tormenting others.
You know, this thing is not going to stop.
What happens when your dream house turns into a living nightmare? In America, there is real evil. It lurks in the darkest shadows and in our most ordinary towns. Between the worlds we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality. In the fields of Southampton County, Virginia, stands a 200-year-old farmhouse. In the summer of 2008, Billy Quattlebaum moves in with his new girlfriend, Tiffany McKinnon.
Oh, be careful with that one. My china's in there.
Okay, I can tell. Thank you so much.
They've been dating just 5 months.
This weather's crazy out here.
I know. Ah, found it. Have to commemorate this occasion.
Oh, okay.
It was very quick. What made me fall in love with him was just how jolly and goofy and silly he was, you know, because I'm the same way.
Oh, that's a good one.
We made a decision, you know, let's just get a place together. And she said, hey, I found this great house. You know, it's 20 acres, it's a big old house.
Both Tiffany and Billy have fallen in love with the property, in spite of its horrific past.
There's so much history in the area. It goes way, way back. Slavery and plantations as far back as the early 1600s. Tobacco and cotton were probably the first huge crops that were planted.
But the sheer beauty of the house and its surprisingly low rent are too hard to resist.
It felt like it fell into our lap. It felt like someone was basically giving us this gift to start our life with. Let's do it, let's take the leap and see where it goes.
Billy's daughter, Georgia, is 8.
What are you looking for?
My rabbit, I can't find it.
It's in this box. I remember packing it.
We wanted to get away from a lot of the traffic and the daily grind and really live quietly and peacefully.
Oh, there you are.
And Billy said one of his dreams was always to raise Georgia in the country.
Where do you think we should put this one? I think the bed would go there, probably.
That'd be good.
It was awesome. It was huge. I could roam around and people not worry about where I was because we were in the country and nothing really happened in the country.
But what the family doesn't know is that they are not alone. And the eerie presence may not be confined to just the farmhouse. It's surrounded by 20 acres of property and includes an old barn.
We got 5 or 6 chickens, 2 ducks, and a rabbit. And it was turning into a zoo overnight, but, you know, Georgia loved them. Tiffany loved them. I enjoyed, the whole idea of it.
But inside, the barn has an ominous feeling.
I did start to feel like something wasn't right not long after we moved in. I went into the barn, to the back stall. I noticed that there was a silence. It was eerie.
Is somebody there? Billy? The door's stuck. I can't get out. Hey, Georgia? Hey, is someone there? Hello?
It was a scary, scary feeling. I told myself, oh, it had to have been a gust of wind, even though I knew it wasn't. It's a feeling of don't look behind you, just get out of the barn.
About a week after moving in, Billy is working late while Georgia is at her grandparents'.
Let's get you fixed up here.
It was the first time I was alone in the house. The air got very thick. In the middle of summer, the temperature dropped. I felt a chill.
Billy? Billy, is that you? Hello? Billy? Billy, you won't believe what just happened. I was trying to change the light bulb in the chandelier and I heard footsteps in the house.
I was very panicked. I was really creeped out.
No, it wasn't like that.
I teased her about the house. It's the house messing with you.
No, I swear.
I was like, Tiffany, the house is almost 200 years old. The wiring isn't the greatest in the world, and old houses creak. Don't worry about it.
No, you're...
What he said to me in that moment is the house talking to you. And I remember getting angry.
No, you're no help. I'm getting out of here. I have to go.
I remember hanging up the phone and I grabbed the keys. I jumped in the truck.
For the next few weeks, Tiffany tries to convince herself that she's just imagining things.
I did the same thing when I was your age.
Our happiness, it kept my mind blocked from a lot of what was going on.
The feeling of finally having a family, it was overwhelming. I just hoped we would stay there forever.
But when night falls, that happiness is a distant memory.
Billy.
I heard a banging coming from downstairs in the house. I walked down the staircase, and the banging was louder and louder, and it was getting very intense. It was so dark that I couldn't see, and I had to open the door to see what was going on. I knew that it was an older house. I knew that it had history. I think I had an inkling already that there was some energy in the house.
Hello?
Someone was trying to let me know you're not alone.
I know you think I'm crazy. She used to tell me that. I know you think I'm crazy.
Ever since Tiffany McKinnon moved into a 200-year-old Virginia farmhouse, she's had the feeling she is not alone. Strange events plague her in her waking hours and restless nights. After 3 months of terror, the spirit finally makes his intentions clear.
This is my house. This is my house.
Get up! Let go of me! Let go of me! Let go of me!
Honey, wake up. Shh, it's okay.
You okay?
It was pretty frightening how vivid it was. He just busted through the door and he grabbed me and he screamed at me. He towered over me. His face was riddled with sadness and almost had a look of fear in his eye. When you're looking at an animal who's showing a sign of aggression, but you see that it's because they're afraid. I was very disoriented, but I just remember hearing the name Joseph. All I thought was Joseph, Joseph, Joseph.
Without telling Billy, Tiffany decides to investigate. At a local library, she locates deeds and property records and learns that the original owner of the house ran a plantation. After his death, he left the house and surrounding property to his caretaker, a freed African-American slave named Joseph.
The hair stood up on my neck and my eyes immediately teared up. It's almost like a spiritual experience, you know? If that makes sense, it was incredible.
But Joseph's story doesn't have a happy ending. Further digging reveals that shortly after he inherited the property, Joseph was forced to give it back to the relatives of the original owner.
This is my house.
An injustice had been done. It's a heavy feeling when you do know this place that you think is so beautiful, you know, for you was at one point a source of pain for somebody else.
Despite Tiffany's compassion, Joseph has made one thing clear. He wants Tiffany out.
I know who the man in my dream was.
Tiffany decides to share her findings with Billy, but he refuses to believe that the house is
This
haunted.
place.
You said a ghost?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes,
Like,
it's the same guy.
that was just a nightmare. You just
No,
imagined it. So-
I'm telling you, I saw him clear as day, right there.
She said, you know, this house is haunted. Okay, Tiffany. She says, no, I'm serious.
Look, don't fill your head up with this type of stuff, okay? You're just gonna drive yourself crazy.
We hadn't been living with each other that long, so now I'm starting to think maybe her mind just has an overactive imagination, maybe.
Tiffany now has an understanding of the ghost who frightened her in her dream.
I thought, okay, well, I'm getting what's going on here, and maybe I'm meant to know something. You know, maybe I'm supposed to help in some way.
But she's about to find out something far more sinister lurks at the Franklin farmhouse.
There was this really foul smell, like rotten meat or a dead rodent. It was like a smell of death.
Look, we're fixing.
There was just another really weird thing.
Georgia, here,
What
get this.
happened?
Here,
I'm
just
gonna
go
be
ahead and get this
sick.
one. Come here. I thought we talked about this. I don't want you to bring it up the thing around Georgia.
No, it wasn't Joseph. This felt like something else.
Oh, come on. I really need you to stop this. You're scaring her.
I can't help it.
I
There's
don't want her to
something
hate this
going
place.
on in
Stop
there.
scaring
I'm
her.
scared.
I don't know if Joseph was trying to tell me, get out, this is my house, or if he was trying to relay to me that there's something else here.
But Billy has lost patience with Tiffany's fixation on the paranormal.
That's kind of where Billy's attitude started to shift. He didn't really want to talk about it.
Leaving Tiffany feeling very alone.
It was very isolating. You have something that happens to you that scares you, and so you want to tell the person that you love, and when they're shutting it out and they're not trying to hear it, it sits in your own mind, and it gets scarier.
I would ask her what's wrong. She would just look at me and say, oh, don't worry about it, it's fine. Nothing's wrong. And she just kind of pushed it off, but I knew that something's going on.
Daddy! Daddy!
Billy, wake up. It's Georgia.
Maybe there was this battle going on within the house that we just happened to be exposed to.
This is my house.
Maybe I was just picking up on this struggle between these two energies.
For weeks, Tiffany McKinnon has been sensing the presence of two forces in her home. A ghost who is troubled, and a demonic entity she can't explain.
The other energy didn't feel human at all.
So far, Tiffany is the only one who is convinced the house is haunted. Her boyfriend, Billy, is a non-believer. And in the fall of 2008, Tiffany fears that his daughter, Georgia, is the next victim.
Daddy! Daddy!
Billy, wake up. It's Georgia.
But when Billy checks on Georgia, he finds her sleeping.
I'd never heard her at the door crying. It was Tiffany waking me up and say, hey, it's Georgia at the door crying. And I got up and she's in her bed sound asleep.
Now, Billy is more skeptical than ever.
I didn't know what to think. Never in my mind did I think it was anything paranormal or the house was haunted. There's gotta be an explanation to this.
But the turbulent night is not over. For the next few weeks, Billy becomes increasingly volatile and angry, as if he were possessed.
It was a harsh winter in that house. And that's when I really noticed Billy's demeanor shift. quick to anger, didn't like to be asked questions. I knew who I had fallen in love with, and this was a different person.
Every single light is on in this room.
It definitely affected Georgia.
Are you in there? Georgia, did you leave the lights on in this room?
I'm in my room.
Come out here so I can talk to you about this. Come here. Come here. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're not even in here?
But I didn't turn them on.
Don't you lie to me.
It didn't sound like the same person. It didn't sound like my dad that I knew before. Then it sounded like a totally different man that I didn't see as my dad.
You don't pay these bills?
But I didn't.
You did.
Hey,
Look,
hey!
I'm talking to my daughter. Back up.
Tiffany barely recognizes him. His voice like a growl. His eyes, once bright blue.
They were dark.
You need to calm down.
You need to stay out of this.
He'd never looked at me like that before. It was terrifying. I didn't know how to snap him out of this. And that's when I realized whatever was in this house, it was getting stronger, and it was trying to take away my sense of security in him.
Hi, Stormy.
Georgia escapes the tension in the farmhouse by spending more time in the barn.
Did you eat the carrot I put in your cage? Hello?
One night she sees something that she can't explain. A demon in the form of a dark shadow man.
There was like this black figure where it like had the exact figure of a human, but yet it was just black. I felt like it knew that I saw it. I was terrified. I freaked out and ran back to the house.
Georgia decides not to tell anyone.
I didn't want to go to my parents and tell them because my dad hated the fact of us talking about it. So I felt alone and I felt scared and I felt helpless.
For the last 8 months, the family has been sharing the farmhouse and barn with spirits from another world. And no one is talking about it. With the family divided, the demon can now go after the weak.
I think that whatever's in that house that is evil and is sinister, it wanted to show me that it didn't matter if I was alone or if I was with the toughest guy in the world. It was going to break us.
Billy? Billy, is that you? Is someone there?
For more A Haunting, visit destinationamerica.com. An old Virginia farmhouse is plagued with paranormal activity, tormenting the family living there. And while Tiffany McKinnon has come to terms with the ghost of a freed slave, the other entity A demon appears to have taken over her boyfriend, Billy.
I noticed the change in Billy.
Get over it!
Quick to anger.
Georgia, look! 1, 2, 3, 4!
I knew who I had fallen in love with, and this was a different person. I was scared constantly. How do you go up against something that you can't see?
But the demon has far worse plans for Tiffany.
Billy? Is someone there?
What the hell just knocked me down the stairs? I mean, I knew instantly it was the feeling of hands on the back of my shoulders, and it was aggressive. I looked up the staircase, and there was nothing there. It was so terrifying. I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. I knew that something else was lingering right near me, and Billy came in the house.
Billy, help me.
Billy is stunned. The sight of his girlfriend lying at the bottom of the steps is overwhelming. And in a matter of seconds, he transforms back into his old self.
Something pushed me.
Oh my God.
Like a dark shadow or something. I didn't. You believe me, don't you?
Yes, I believe you. I believe you. It's okay.
Seeing my fear right in front of his face did snap him out of a denial that he was living in.
I'm right here. It's okay.
I felt like I had him back.
I felt so bad for her, Georgia, for ever leaving them in that house. That was beyond all measure of fear to me.
Desperate for help, Tiffany reaches out to Jackie Tomlin, founder of Central Virginia Paranormal Investigations.
That's really when we started to come back together and figure out, what are we gonna do? Let's get to the bottom of this.
It just doesn't feel safe here.
Tiffany had nowhere to turn. She was completely frustrated. When you're living in fear, you're not living.
A few weeks later, the team arrives while Billy is away on business. It's now March 2009. The family has been living in the house for 9 months. Jackie attempts to make contact with the entities.
Anyone there? If you're there, show me a sign. Anything you can...
It was an amazing experience to watch the door open in front of us, but it also showed what a bold presence that we were dealing with.
After a 12-hour investigation confirming active paranormal activity, Jackie is convinced that there is a sinister presence haunting the house.
There's just so much going on at this point that we cannot explain. I knew that we were dealing with more than just a human spirit. I told her whatever was going on in her home, there were several different entities there.
I think I understand Joseph, but I need to understand this other force better.
No, you need to tread very lightly here. These are extremely dangerous forces.
If it's a negative entity, there's no reason to pursue answers from it. There's no reason to want to know why it's there. There's no reason to want to know why it's messing with your family. It should be left alone.
We're not talking about just paranormal phenomena. We're talking about supernatural.
Meaning?
Meaning it's spiritual, not human. A demon.
I told her to leave it alone, or you're looking at more physical attacks to come if you don't.
Wait. We can't do it. We can't leave. We don't want to leave. We love this place too much. There's gotta be some other way. There's got to.
She really felt that it was in the best interest of our safety and our relationship as well to move out of the house.
I'm really sorry.
A few nights later, Billy is back home. Tiffany has yet to tell him about the results of the investigation.
What was that?
I don't know. You know what? I forgot to feed the animals. I'll go check on them.
Okay, I'll tuck her in. No, Alec decided. It would be much better if you just kept... Bedtime.
In Virginia, a 200-year-old home with extensive paranormal and supernatural phenomena has been tormenting a family for 9 months. Although Tiffany McKinnon no longer fears the spirit of the freed slave, Joseph, she is now dealing with a demon, a powerful presence that is wicked in nature.
You need to tread very lightly here. These are extremely dangerous forces.
Paranormal investigators have advised them to move.
What do you mean leave our house? We put all of our energy here. We put all of our money here. Like, this is where we want to be, and we can't see ourselves anywhere else.
Tiffany keeps the warning to herself, determined to stay in her home. But one night, she makes a gruesome discovery in the barn and realizes that the demon will stop at nothing to hurt them.
Stay here. Tiffany! Tiffany! What happened?
Dead. They're all dead.
It was horrible. They're just dead laying there, no marks on them, just dead.
I just think whatever was there just sucked the life out of them.
And they would have to break the news to Georgia.
It was devastating, and it was devastating for Georgia. She's just seeing death and death and death.
When I learned about the death of the animals in the barn, it was terrifying and very heartbreaking at the same time. In my mind, I was like, it's the man in black. He's doing everything in his power to scare me.
In desperation, the family turns to their last resort.
Thank God you're here. Come on in.
I reached out to the Catholic churches in Franklin.
And the idea was this priest is going to bless this house, and whatever is in this house, this is the weapon we're going to use.
I've been attacked. Billy's felt it. And the animals. We have a daughter, and we just don't feel safe.
Well, most times there's a perfectly reasonable explanation of what's going on. An exorcism is not even needed.
You could tell that this guy did not believe any word of it.
this your daughter's bedroom?
Until the temperature starts dropping and the smell of rotten meat's going on.
That's what I was talking about. There's something here.
Wait, hold on, where are you going?
This is all the house needs.
That's all?
The house is fine.
I mean, he was in and out of the house in less than 5 minutes.
Rather than stay in battle, he chose to run.
Is that it? Hey!
Here's holy water. Sprinkle it around the house. Put the sign of the cross on your daughter's forehead every night during prayers, and she'll be okay. You know, the only way it can hurt you is if you believe in it. Guess what, pal? Things are happening and we believe.
For the next few days, the family follows the priest's instructions, praying that the ritual will put the entities to rest.
It did look a little brighter. It smelled a little sweeter. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this worked. I started to feel Joseph less and less after the priest came. I hope it's because the presence of that priest and even my own personal prayers for Joseph helped him and sent him to heaven. I felt like Joseph was trapped there because this other thing was keeping him there.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
I was hoping that, everything would go back to normal. It would be like a peaceful, happy family.
Lay down, sweetie.
In Virginia, a monstrous and deadly demon is hell-bent on driving Billy Quattlebaum, his girlfriend, and his daughter out of a 200-year-old haunted farmhouse.
There's no safety nets when it comes to this type of thing. The ride ain't over and then you get to go on about your day. This is something that you're living with.
The voice that I heard, it didn't sound like a normal person's voice. It sounded like kind of altered, and, kind of just weird. It sounded like it was coming from directly next to me.
For Billy and Tiffany, the breaking point has finally come.
Georgia? Baby, what happened? Are you okay?
It was the man in black. He was standing right there. He called my name.
All right, Let's just get out of here. Come on, baby.
That was it. We were ready to go. I wasn't even gonna let it escalate beyond hearing a voice. You said her name. You acknowledged her. That's it. I'm done.
This thing has graduated from footsteps and closing doors to now it slowed you down the stairs. It's banging on her door or her windows. It's killed every animal that we own. The priest didn't help us. The investigation seemed to have stirred it up. We gotta get out of here.
It's okay. You're gonna be all right. Watch your head. Get inside.
Okay.
I don't even think I looked in the rearview mirror at this place as we were leaving the driveway.
It's September 2009. The family has survived more than a year of sheer terror. They break their 3-year lease and move out. For Billy, Tiffany, and Georgia, the ordeal is finally over.
Now look at your cards. See what we got.
In June 2013, Billy Quattlebaum marries Tiffany McKinnon in a small ceremony in Franklin, Virginia.
Been together a long time, and it's great. It's wonderful. You realize that maybe the dream isn't all in the house, but it's in the person.
2 pairs right there. That's a pretty good hand.
After everything that happened in the old house, the family is still haunted by memories and evidence. A closer inspection of the photos the family took on move-in day at the farmhouse reveals a frightening image, a ghostly form caught on camera.
My eyes teared up, and the hair on my arms and the back of my neck stood up. And I was kind of winded by it because it was so evident. And Billy didn't even want to look at it.
Some people don't believe, but I know that ghosts and demons and paranormal activity in general is real. It is very real.
The house in Southampton County still stands and is now home to a new family. It is unknown whether or not they've experienced anything supernatural.
We ride by it from time to time now and just barely look over there at it. I kind of believe there was several things going on there. Maybe Joseph at one time was trying to warn Tiffany in the beginning what is to be expected. And he's being tormented too, maybe.
It was a supernatural evil and is solely created to destroy. As far as the experience with the house, I don't ever want to forget it because I learned a lot of things about faith and strength and love for the people around you.
A family of 5 moves into their dream house in the country.
Everybody had their own bedroom.
It felt safe.
And soon encounters paranormal activity. What begins with footsteps and imaginary friends
Something was there.
escalates into something so evil
I saw her laying in a puddle of blood and I thought she was dead.
and so powerful it may never be tamed.
Cast into hell all the evil spirits. Amen.
In America, there is real evil. It lurks in the darkest shadows and in our most ordinary towns. Between the worlds we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality. Brookville, Ohio is a farming community on the outskirts of Dayton. It's one of those everyone knows your business sort of places. Settled in 1850, Brookville sprung up from nowhere along newly laid railroads built to connect larger cities.
I grew up in the country. It was safe, fun, big yards, close-knit community, and that's what I wanted for my children.
Hey, come on, let's get in here. Get in there, little tiger.
In the fall of 2008, Alicia Kane and her husband, Scott,
We got quite a haul.
moved their family from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, to rural Brookville.
When we saw this house, we knew that it was going to be perfect.
Everything kind of reminded us of where we lived at before, and we kind of fell in love with the place right off the bat.
Did you scare them?
Oh, gosh.
Mac is 15.
What about you? Did people think you were a witch?
Farah is 10.
And what about you, little devil?
And Marissa is 6.
Financially, we were very stable. She was able to stay at home with the kids and not have to worry about work.
It was a quiet little town. Everyone knew everyone. It felt safe.
Inside, the 4-bedroom house feels spacious and open.
Look at this.
We've always been in smaller homes, and it was a good-sized house, and we would have plenty of room.
Everybody had their own bedroom, and there was lots of space for everyone to run around. And
who's got some candy for Dad, huh?
What is that?
But the house and property are not as ideal as they appear to be. Within these walls, bad things have happened. Spirits are not at rest.
Miranda, no!
By March of 2009, the family has settled in. Scott's job as a corporate auditor often takes him away from home, leaving Alicia to tend to the kids and household duties.
At that time, my husband was staying out of town a lot.
all I wanted to do was be there with them, and all they wanted was for me to be there with them, and it was pretty difficult. Sometimes I spend 2 weeks at a time away from home and come home on the weekend and then go right back. It was really hard on all of us.
Six months after moving into the house, weird things started happening. I heard footsteps, and it sounded like bare feet hitting the wood floor. I just had this eerie feeling. I couldn't see anything, but something was there. All of a sudden, I heard footsteps. They were getting closer and closer. All of a sudden, it stopped.
Mac?
When I didn't see anything, it made me feel like maybe it was just me. I felt confused, frightened, crazy. My gut told me that something wasn't right in that house.
Alicia decides to keep the strange experiences to herself. When Scott returns home from his business trip, she feels safe once again. But one night, Alicia suddenly wakes up to intense heat. It feels as if the house is on fire.
I was really hot. I had to throw the covers off. It must have been 90 degrees in that house. I was burning up.
Scott, did you turn up the furnace? Scott.
At first, I thought maybe the children had turned the heat all the way up.
But the thermostat has not been touched.
So I went to go check the furnace. The furnace was turned all the way up. I knew it was weird that there was nothing to explain it, but I just kind of let it go.
One afternoon, Alicia hears something out of the ordinary.
What's your brother's name?
It sounds as if her daughter Marissa is having a conversation.
I have a brother too. His name is Mac.
I noticed that she was talking to somebody that wasn't there.
Who are you talking to, Marissa?
Jacob.
She was telling me that it was a little boy named Jacob and his brother named Stephen.
Him and his brother Stephen used to live here. Look, I drew a picture of them.
Why are they wearing masks?
Jacob said they got hurt real bad.
She told me that they wore sacks over their heads because they got burned in a fire and they didn't want to scare her. She said the house was right where our house is now. She said the little boys were upstairs in the loft playing. The dad was outside tending to the animals. The mom was cooking. The kitchen stove was a wood stove, and that's what caught fire.
Steven, Jacob, where are you?
It all made sense now. The creaking, the footsteps, the furnace. I knew something was going on in that house.
Where are Jacob and Stephen now?
Right there.
I didn't know what to think, but when Marissa told me everything in detail, so much detail, I knew she couldn't be making it up. It frightened me.
In the fall of 2008, the Kane family, Alicia, Scott, and their 3 children, move into a house in Brookville, Ohio. At first, all is well, until a few months later when Alicia begins to suspect their home is haunted. Wherever she goes, Alicia feels as if something or someone is taunting her.
I heard footsteps and the furnace was turned all the way up. I felt uneasy about the house, what was going on, but I didn't know what to do about it.
But then, 6 months after moving in, the situation becomes disturbing when her 6-year-old daughter Marissa begins talking to imaginary friends she says died in a fire on the property.
When Marissa told me everything in detail, so much detail, I knew she couldn't be making it up. And I started feeling that the little boys haunted the house. My gut told me that something wasn't right. I just wanted answers.
Alicia has not said a word to her husband, Scott.
I decided not to tell Scott because he was out of town working a lot.
Instead, she takes matters into her own hands and does some research at the local historic society.
I was hoping to find answers of the owners, who lived there, who's died there, anything I could think of.
What Alicia discovers rattles her to her core. Factual evidence to back up her daughter's story.
I found out there was a home on the property in 1865 and that it had burned down, so that confirmed what Marissa had told me. In that moment, I knew something was going on in that house.
The records offer nothing more about the house or its inhabitants, but Alicia believes her daughter's new friends were burned alive on their land.
It made me feel very frightened. I wasn't scared of ghosts, but I was scared of the unknown.
That night, Alicia tells her husband about the records of the fire and Marissa's new friends.
I'm really worried about Marissa. What if they're not imaginary friends? I don't know, what if our house is haunted? I found this map in the Historical Society, Scott.
Honey, she's just using her imagination. It's normal behavior for a kid her age in a new place.
I kind of reassured her that kids have imaginary friends and it's kind of normal and there's nothing odd about it or strange. She's the youngest and the two older kids would kind of leave her out of stuff, so I just thought she was trying to make her own friend, you know, have someone to talk to because they were kind of older and kind of ignored her a lot of times, so I just thought she was trying to have a friend, imaginary friend.
I was a little upset that he didn't believe, but I wasn't scared of the little boys. I felt like they weren't there to hurt us, that they were just trying to let us know what happened to them.
It's an old house. When you turn the hot water on, the pipes knock and make noises underneath the house, and the doors all creak, and when the wind blows, you could hear it in the windows, and when cars drive by, it's kind of loud sometimes, and the lights will play tricks on you.
I just tried to not focus on the house being haunted and live normal.
Then, a few weeks later,
Mom, someone's in my room.
Scott, Marissa said somebody's in her room.
You could tell she was very upset.
Relax, sweetie. You're probably just having a nightmare.
Maybe she should sleep in here tonight.
Honey, it's fine. Come on, kiddo. Let's go check this out.
That made me feel uneasy, very uneasy. I didn't like it that my child was upset and scared.
Go ahead. Go on, jump up there. Now, I want you to understand there's nothing in here that can hurt you, okay?
Okay.
I think me trying to protect them, I was trying not to scare them, but I think it might have backfired a little bit because then they were saying, you know, Dad doesn't believe me or doesn't trust me.
I love you.
It's 2010. For months, Alicia Kane has been convinced that her house is haunted by the spirits of young boys who died in a fire on the property long ago. Her 6-year-old daughter carries on conversations with the ghosts who appear friendly.
What's your brother's name?
While her husband, Scott, refuses to believe.
Honey, she's just using her imagination.
One night, young Marissa is visited by a much more terrifying entity.
Mom, someone's in my room.
Honey, it's fine. Come on, kiddo. Let's go check this out. There's nothing in here that can hurt you.
All of a sudden, we heard this terrifying scream. She said she saw a woman in her room. She said the woman's dress was torn and she was bleeding. It was very real to her.
I had never seen her that scared before.
It's okay.
What happened?
Nothing.
Marissa's older siblings, Mac and Farah, are concerned about their sister.
I knew something was definitely strange going on.
But Scott still isn't ready to accept that his house is haunted.
Scott thought that because we were talking about the little boys, it stirred up Marissa's imagination.
Come on. She can stay in our room tonight.
I knew 100% that my house was haunted. I was starting to think that there was more to it, not just the little boy ghost.
Over the next few weeks, everyone in the family is on edge. Even Scott feels the tension.
I started noticing that the kids were a little more skittish in certain areas of the house, and the girls wanted to start sharing a room together. They didn't want to sleep alone. And so we moved Marissa out of her room into Farah's room. The whole kind of vibe of the house had started to change.
We were all walking on eggshells. We didn't know what to do. We were all very scared.
But with Scott working out of town much of the time, it's Alicia who must cope with what her husband still denies. That something sinister inhabits her home.
I wasn't sure what was going to happen next.
Marissa? Farah? Mac?
I was starting to think maybe something bad happened in that house.
Miranda, no!
Didn't you guys hear me calling?
Sorry.
As soon as I went upstairs, I seen him laughing and having a good time, and I was so relieved.
Where'd you get these?
I'm the chunk.
I started paying more attention to the kids and keeping them more close to me.
They almost fit you.
Hey, Mom, come look at this.
All of a sudden, Mac handed me this bloody, ripped-up shirt that he had found. It had been placed in the eave of the attic.
Give me that. Kids, go downstairs.
But, Mom.
Now.
Alicia believes the bloody shirt has a connection to the woman who scared Marissa in her room.
It was like someone was trying to hide it.
When are you coming home?
And Alicia would call me all stressed out, and then it would be like we'd fight over the phone, and then I'd want to just come home right away, but I couldn't because I had to stay for work. It was really, really hard.
Something is in this house.
Scott still didn't want to believe it. I was all alone, dealing with a stressful situation.
All right.
I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to. I felt alone, scared. I didn't know what to do. I decided to talk to my neighbors to see if they knew anything that had happened in that house.
Excuse me. Do you know if anything strange ever happened in my house?
I just can't believe you're living in that house. You know someone was murdered there, right?
Murdered? What do you mean?
We were all shocked.
My neighbor told me that the previous person that lived in that house had shot and killed his wife.
She was just real sweet. A beautiful girl. What a tragedy.
According to local newspapers, the murder took place in the early 1980s.
Where are you gonna go, Miranda? Where are you gonna go? You have nothing without me. You understand me?
The newspaper article said they had been in an argument.
Miranda, no!
And he shot her twice in the back. It confirmed what had been going on in the house, what Marissa had seen. It's when I realized that the house was really haunted. I was feeling every kind of emotion there is possible. I was scared, frustrated, angry, and now I was worried about my family. I felt completely powerless.
But the real terror for Alicia's family is just beginning. A few days later, Farah hears strange sounds coming from somewhere in the house.
Mom? 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 Mom?
For more haunting, visit destinationamerica.com. In Brookville, Ohio, Alicia Kane believes her new house is inhabited by the ghosts of two young boys who perished in a fire many years earlier.
After thinking about it, I realized that the boys weren't trying to hurt us.
But the haunting intensifies when Alicia learns a woman was murdered in her house.
Miranda, no!
Mom?
Now, the murdered woman's spirit begins targeting Farah, Alicia's oldest daughter.
Mom?
All of a sudden, I heard this terrifying scream. And Farah was crying and shaking. It was awful.
What happened? I saw her, Mom. I saw her.
She said she heard creaking come from the bathroom, and she saw a bloody woman. She was bloody all over. She had blood coming from her eyes. I tried to calm her down, but it was really hard. She was really freaking out. The way Farah described it, it seemed as if it was the same woman that Marissa had seen.
Alicia is devastated.
It all made sense now, the clothes that Mac found, and what Marissa saw. I was absolutely terrified. It was now targeting my kids, and I didn't know what to do.
Alicia feels betrayed because no one told her a murder took place in her home.
I was scared, frustrated, angry that no one told us what happened in the home, and now I was worried about my family. I went to go get the clothes that Mac had found. I threw them in the fire, and I thought it would get rid of everything that's happened. I just wanted it to all go away.
Alicia? What's wrong?
Did you know a woman was murdered in our house?
I didn't really want to believe it still. I was still kind of in denial about it. But when Alicia had told me that the previous owner had murdered his wife in the house, it kind of made everything fall into place.
That's who Marissa saw in her bedroom that night. And Farrah saw her in the bathroom this afternoon. And she was covered in blood.
Everything that the kids had experienced, everything that Alicia had experienced, it all made sense. And it kind of floored me.
I found this in the newspaper.
It was, it was staring us right in the face.
I'm so sorry. I didn't believe you.
The evidence overwhelms Scott. He finally believes the house is haunted and accepts the idea that his family needs help.
I knew that she was pretty much at her wit's end, and we needed to find somebody to help us. She was gonna fall apart, the kids were gonna fall apart, everything was just gonna go south from there if we didn't get any help.
We knew that we had to find somebody to help us. We couldn't do it on our own. A mutual friend helped us find the Foremans from Living Dead Paranormal.
Soon after, the team of 3 brothers, Josh, Sean, and Rocky Foreman, arrive at the house. The Kane children spend the night with a friend to ensure their safety.
On this particular case, we started up on the 2nd floor because it was one of the areas when we were doing the walkthrough, you got the heaviness on your chest, and it was also the area that the family was having most of their experiences.
Was that open a minute ago?
I don't think so.
Let's go check out the attic.
Okay.
As soon as I open the attic door, you hear a female voice, just plain as day. It was real drawn out. She goes, "No." It was like she was standing right there with us. At that point, part of you says, get the hell out of the house.
But Josh feels a sense of responsibility to the family. Overcoming his fear, he and Rocky proceed with the investigation.
What was that?
I don't know. Something's in here.
He immediately got a sad feeling, and he had asked if I was feeling the same thing he was feeling, because a lot of times, when you're in the middle of an investigation, you'll get different emotions, from sadness or fear, and just going up the attic, you got that heavy feeling. It was just like an overwhelming sadness.
Are you here with us now? What do you want? What do you want from us?
Shoot the
For the past 2 years, the Kane family has been terrorized by the ghost of a woman who was murdered in their Brookville, Ohio home. The Kanes knew nothing about the killing before they moved in. Their daughter's terrifying encounter with the murdered woman's spirit forces Alicia and Scott to seek help from paranormal expert Josh Foreman and his brothers.
Honestly, I really didn't know if it was gonna work or not. I didn't know what to think about the whole thing.
While investigating in the attic, Josh and Rocky make contact with the murdered woman.
Are you here with us now? What do you want? What do you want from us?
We heard a female voice, plain as day again, like she was standing right there with us, said, "Shoot the Foremans."
When you actually get an EVP, knowing that it's your last name is really uneasy.
We've investigated a lot of homes, and we've never ran into anything that was this aggressive. It was definitely eerie to get something that clear. It really validated for us that, whatever was in this house is linked to the murder. We need to pick it up a notch and do whatever we could do to help this family.
Josh breaks the news to Alicia and Scott. This ghost is upset and hell-bent on disrupting their family.
I believe the woman who was murdered in this house is still here.
This was the home that she was supposed to start her family and raise her kids. And then in a very tragic and sudden way, all those dreams were ripped away from her.
The Foremans told us it would only get worse from there.
I tried to debunk things that happened that I couldn't explain or had no excuse for it, but everything that was happening was real.
Josh provides a solution.
We'd like to bring someone in to perform a cleansing.
We were at our wits' ends on it, so we didn't know what to do. I was terrified. I was hopeful that the cleansing would help.
Father Alan Dersham arrives at the Kane house prepared to confront an angry, restless spirit. He's a special kind of priest with many tools at his disposal. He's what's called an eclectic priest.
I follow many different religions to combat the spiritual world. As soon as I got to the property, I felt an immediate, strong, dark presence. I know it didn't want me there.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Something was very hostile. It was almost like it was wanting me to get back in my car and leave.
While the family waits in another section of the house, Alan uses rites and rituals from 5 different religions to cast out the restless spirits.
When I set up a cleansing, I picked the centermost room of the house and I burn a black candle that will absorb every negative energy into the house.
It was strange to have this man with all this weird stuff that we've never had in our home before, but we were willing to try anything.
Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Safeguard us against the wickedness and the snares of the devil.
I could sense spirits of children there, as well as a darker spirit. The children's spirits seemed to be more welcoming and just curious. They seemed to be stuck in the home. The dark entity was on the upper levels of the house, towards the attic and the second floor. The darker spirit in the home was very angry, and you could tell it definitely didn't want me there. I'm at battle with the spiritual realm for this family.
By the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about this world, seeking the ruin of souls.
My goal is to get rid of it. Nothing's going to steer me from that goal.
Amen.
I felt very strongly that I had eliminated a presence within the home.
For 1 week, life in the house returns to normal. All paranormal activity stops. Alicia and Scott are relieved, hopeful the cleansing has worked.
It felt as if this big cloud had lifted off of our family.
I was happy. The kids were happy. Everything was pretty much back to the way it was before.
It felt like at the beginning when we first moved into the house.
But the haunting is far from over.
I started feeling this burning on my leg. I was very terrified. All of a sudden, I looked down and saw blood on the bathroom floor. I followed the trail down the hall.
For more than 2 years, the Kane family has been terrified by the bloody spirit of an angry woman murdered in their Brookville, Ohio home. After bringing in professional help and getting the house cleansed, the family believes their nightmare is over.
Cast into hell all the evil spirits. Amen.
But it's not. It's back with a vengeance.
I saw her laying in a puddle of blood and I thought she was dead.
Marissa? Marissa? Marissa?
She woke up and she didn't know what had happened. It looked like she had had a nosebleed, but it wasn't a normal nosebleed.
What happened?
This was my baby, and it terrified me.
Alicia rushes Marissa to the doctor, who explains it's just a bad nosebleed. Alicia believes it's something more sinister.
It was too much blood. Realizing that ghosts could touch you or harm you was absolutely terrifying. I tried to protect my kids, but how can I protect my kids when I can't even protect myself? I felt like it was only going to get worse.
This is the last straw for the Kane family.
To feel safer, we all decided to start sleeping in the living room so we could all be closer together. We felt we could keep a better eye on the kids.
There was so much stuff happening that we couldn't even keep up with it. It was just too much.
The family decides to move out as soon as possible, but for financial reasons, they have no idea when that will be.
We are currently trying to get out of the house. It has been a burden on all of us to not be able to just leave the house. We're financially stuck, but we are saving to get out as quickly as possible.
Me and Alicia decided that was it. We weren't going to take all the stuff anymore. We weren't going to go through everything again. We're trying to ignore all the other stuff that goes on and just concentrate on getting out of there. I had to go and have that talk with my kids again, you know, that we got to be strong.
Dad, what if the ghost comes in here?
Paranormal investigator Josh Foreman plans a formal exorcism of the house once the Kane family moves. He hopes to make it safe for future inhabitants.
Personally, for me, I was devastated to hear that the activity came back because we had tried everything that we knew from the different experiences we've had over the last 10 years of investigating the paranormal.
But there is a chance that whatever they do, the spirits may never be driven from the property.
It needs to be something more in your face that's really gonna push this thing. It's really time for us to think outside the box. My only hope is whatever this is doesn't follow them, and they can be at peace finally.
One thing is certain, the Kane family will be forever haunted by the experience.
I was definitely a skeptic. I didn't really believe in paranormal. No, I really don't know what to tell people. I wouldn't wish anybody to go through anything like that. It's horrible. It's not fun and games. It's really rough.
It's not what I was intending for my children at all. It hurts a lot. It feels like I'm not protecting my family the way I should. I hope and I pray that my kids can get over this. I feel very lucky we have survived.